Hi, and welcome to today's episode of COS Interviews. I'm Maren, the marketing manager at COS, and today I want to introduce you to Brooke from Silverstar Communications. Brooke, please introduce yourself and Silverstar Communications.
All right, I'm Brock Walters. I've worked with Silverstar for the last 7 years. I am the area VP over our open access markets product. And Silverstar has been doing traditional telecom and internet services for over 70 years. And a few years ago, we started toying with the idea of what other ways should we be progressing into these new markets, and what is the next evolution of internet and broadband here in America. And that's when we started diving into what is open access. We were already playing on some of the open access networks that were municipal builds, and they weren't exactly what we were looking for. And so we decided to venture out on our own, and we actually have 3 open access markets that are started today and look at expanding more.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, you already picked up on open access. So what exactly inspired your organization to transition to and to approach an open access model? And what benefits have you experienced, for example, in terms of customer engagement, since you have done so?
One of the differences with open access we have found is that customers just want choice. And when I go to Amazon, that best product might be at the very top, but I still like to go and see what some of the other options are. And so what we're doing is we're allowing customers to have that choice. And we have developed an environment that's customer friendly and also ISP friendly. That's not just a drive to the bottom for price, because there's a lot more to offer as an ISP than just the cheapest gig that you can get to that customer.
So, I mean, open access is all about separating layers, right? And let everybody focus on what they're good at. So how do you actually separate infrastructure operations and the service layer to support multiple service providers?
So as we started venturing down this, we actually created a separate division. The division I'm running right now is our Silverlight division. And so we siloed the responsibilities of several of the pieces of the infrastructure, as well as we siloed some of the data into separate systems. And that's how we came in contact with COS, is we use them for operating our open access. And so that data is separated from our traditional, and in a sense, it helps us as we are one of the ISPs. We have 4 ISPs on our network, and it helps us to then our sales and our marketing and different things can focus on that brand, and we can focus on our network operations and our customer service as an infrastructure separately.
So I'm hearing choice and transparency. It sounds very much like that's in the customer's interest.
It is, yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that has affected your take rates? Because I've heard a rumor that you have great ones.
So as we've started down this path, we've looked at, what would it be if Silverstar just went in and overbuilt? And what would it be if we went in as open access? And what would be some of the differences and the pros and cons? And one of the things that we have found personally as we've started doing this, as well as anecdotally from other people we've talked to, is the take rates are higher when you give that choice. People really like that. And it's so much easier. We've had some door-to-door and different things. As you go to the door and you explain to the customer or future customer and just say, we're bringing some fiber and we want to connect everybody in this neighborhood. And here's a whole bunch of options. These guys, they really focus on customer service. These guys are your cheapest option and they do a great job. These ones want to help you with a variety of different, whether it's a static static IP, or they want to help you with they have really low latency for gamers or something. And customers just really, they feel less guarded because it's less of a sale. I feel like here's great options for you.
It's more choice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you said you have 4 ISPs on your network, right? And you have 3 brands. So I can imagine that automation plays a huge role in your operations. Can you tell us a little bit about how technology plays into that?
Yeah, so we have our regular Silverstar brand, and we have our Silverlight infrastructure brand, and now a different one that we use called Altitude Fiber to be on these open access networks. That's only the ISP. And so what we've done is, as we started looking at what's the best way to position this infrastructure, what's our goals with it, long term. I mentioned earlier that we have been in business for over 70 years doing telecom and fiber, and we understand the long-term game of maintenance and taking care of customers and brand. And so we realized that while open access is this big and the infrastructure over here, it needs to fill that niche. It can't look the exact same as our traditional.
Yeah.
And so we looked at how can we, if we're kind of starting from scratch, like I mentioned, we were looking at different systems. How can we make it easier for ourselves? How can we future-proof maintenance-wise so that we can help reduce our costs? Because in the end, you can only sell internet for so much to the customer. And so we need to keep our prices low enough as an infrastructure so that our ISPs can get a good take rate and be able to offer good prices as well to that customer.
Yeah. So
automation plays in that. Like you have to be automating in order to make that happen.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we do, end-to-end automation. And I mean, obviously you're using CUS Business Engine. Has it, and if so, how has it contributed to your success in deploying and managing your network operations?
I'll tell you a fun one. Is
Go ahead.
The other day I was on the call with one of my team members, and we were reviewing some of the numbers. And right now we offer drops for free, and as we're constructing out these areas, and some of the customers will take a drop in anticipation of finishing their contract that's 2 or 3 months and then jumping on the network.
Yeah.
So I'd seen a couple of those that had disconnected uptick, and I was going to talk to my team about, are these just customers waiting for their contracts to end with their current providers, or are they, was there something we were doing that was wrong? And so I was going over this with my team member, and the number automatically on the screen dropped by 1. And I was like, did it not calculate right the first time? And so I went and I refreshed and I dug into it, and I was like, oh, while we've been on this call, a customer that previously had been connected got on, selected their package, put in their information, and it auto provisioned in that 20-minute call that I had with my team member.
Fantastic.
And so it's really exciting for us to see that as customers. It really opens up possibilities for them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think zero touch provisioning must be a great tool for big operations like yours. So based on your general experience, and you have a lot, not only in decades, but also in number of ISPs on your network, you're doing the whole thing really. What advice would you offer to operators who are considering an open access partnership with community or private entities?
I would say go for it 100%. And maybe I'm a little biased. We've had really good communities to work with and partners. Our teams internally are very supportive, and the leadership here at Silverstar is very supportive and really catching the vision of what open access is doing and the evolution of internet here in America.
Yeah.
And so go in. It's really a win-win-win for everybody, for the customer, for the internet providers, and for the infrastructure, whether it's an investment company or whether it's a company like ours that's going to go in and put the infrastructure in. It's really a real benefit to the community as a whole to have this. I mean, we all know that fiber makes a huge difference. Quality internet changes the quality of life for people.
It sure does, yeah. So based on everything we talked about, and I want an honest opinion, do you believe that partnering with CO Systems can provide an edge in the competitive broadband market?
I would absolutely agree with that. We evaluated several systems before we ended up choosing COS to go forward with. And we'd even seen several that as we've been on other open access networks as just the ISP.
Yeah.
And so the ability, one of the things that as in charge of just the network myself, I wanted to empower the ISPs.
Yeah.
I wanted to treat these ISPs like these were their customers and not be a gatekeeper or blocking them and standing in their way between them and customers. And so COS has really helped us to do that so that they can manage their customers, whether it's they want to do it in their own system with an API, whether they want to do it in the portal that's created automatically for them. It allows them to even do a lot of the functions without having to call us, like resetting the ONT, seeing if it's pulled an IP using the DHCP server on their own networks. And anyways, so yes, I would agree.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that we can help you connect more people. Brock, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your valuable insights today. And I really hope this inspires more operators and ISPs to consider an open access approach for their operations. Thanks so much.
Thank you.